if you would like to provide public comments, we're going to call for public comments now and then again per our agenda at 11:30. So if you want to ask questions or make comments now, please come up and fill out a card and then state your name and your city of residence, and you can speak. The Planning Commission won't take any action on this or have any dialogue, but we will listen to what you have to say. So if there's anyone who wants to do that, now would be the appropriate time. I just see one.
Madam Chair, if I may, real quick.
Yes.
If we need some clarification by a statement, can we ask that type of question, or would it be wise not?
Yes, you can ask a question just to clarify what you've heard.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Alice Sterling.
Yeah, should I stand back here? Do you have any preference? Well, thank you very much. My name is Alice Sterling. I'm a resident of Simi Valley, and I am the former sustainability manager for the city of Pasadena, and I have a background in urban planning. City of Pasadena is notable for its aggressive sustainability measures and also its green building program won some national awards. Based on that, I have had an opportunity in the last going on 4 years now to study this particular proposal, and I have to say that I'm adamantly opposed to the expansion as proposed. I think there are volumes of information contained in the EIR that support the fact that this isn't necessary at this time and may be premature, and it may reduce Ventura County's capacity to meet its waste demands and needs in the next future generations. I cite the capacity analysis, I believe this is Appendix K in the EIR. It says, in addition to serving Ventura County, the landfill currently accepts waste from outside Ventura County. Approximately 36% of waste accepted in the first quarter of 2008 originated outside the county, a fraction that is believed to be representative of recent operations. I think recent operations, it's somewhere near 40% of the waste is coming from beyond Ventura County. And during that lovely video you just saw, it says the landfill serves the community's needs, but they don't define community. I have been preparing a report that I will submit at a later date at the Planning Commission meeting, but what you did not see on this landfill tour, actually you saw the front yard, the backyard, but you didn't see the house. They want you to buy the house. You didn't see the auto shredder waste. Auto shredder waste is a daily cover. It's accepted daily cover by the state of California. The landfill accepts nearly 30% of the statewide generation of auto shredder waste from SA Recycling based in Anaheim and Terminal Island. This is nearly 100% of the cover used in the landfill at the end of each day. You didn't see one shred of that stuff. Nowhere. It's about 500 tons a day, I believe, is going up in that landfill. We saw one truck coming in, but you didn't get to see that. And the Department of Toxic Substances Control is looking at reclassifying treated auto shredder waste as a potential hazard. There's some other concerns. If you look at the application for the landfill and you look at the DEIR as well as the final EIR, you will find that their scope of the project descriptions has changed. They said they're going to serve the community of Ventura County, or they're going to serve the community into the future and make sure there's a continuous landfill. But if you simply look at the alternative project number 5, which is the no project alternative, you could this landfill currently meets the needs of Ventura County. By accepting, like for instance, the auto shredder waste, we're already doing a favor for the state and Southern California region under the current operational practices. I don't want to take too much more of your time, but I think if you simply look at the project description and why this expansion is needed at this particular time, you will find there's no justification in the record. In fact, the record supports that there is no need for this. It also doesn't allow the expansion of conversion technologies. There's already 60 companies across the nation and world that are involved in cutting-edge conversion technologies. If we hold back, if you hold back this permit to allow Conversion Technologies and that science to develop, perhaps in 5 years, we won't need to bury our waste anymore. The other thing is if this project gets approved as proposed, it creates less of a demand for the LA Sanitation and the LA County to mitigate its waste. But it's currently looking at Conversion Technologies. So you take the demand off of that industry, and that's a job-creating industry. That's a sustainable industry. That's an industry that's going to protect us from hazards in our environment and the view shed. So like I said, I have a lot more information. I think you got the gist of my point. I'm very disappointed at this tour. You did not see the active face because Waste Management said they didn't want to get their pretty bus dirty. What's going to happen to our community? Are they concerned about our community? Have you seen in the EIR, the view shed, the mountain of waste? So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Before I call the next speaker, I need to get into the record that we received a packet of information from Waste Management, and that's going to be part of the administrative record. Now may I call Nick?
Yes, Nick Bergoya.
Yeah, okay, sorry about that.
I just have real simple questions and they can be answered real quickly. I was just wondering, are the hours going to stay the same of operation and the days going to stay the same of operation if this is all accepted? Is basically curiosity, because I noticed the sign there open maybe one Sunday a month and the hours are like 4 o'clock to 4:30, and I was just curious if we're going to be consuming a lot more product and consuming a lot more things, if they were going to be willing to extend the hours or change the days to help the situation. And that's just about it. I probably could have asked Waste Management that question, but maybe you have an answer too.
Can I refer that to staff?
This is just a receive and file. It's in the administrative record.
So no answer from staff. I'm sorry. Since this is a receive type of situation, staff is not going to answer that at this time. May I call Louis, please?
Thank you.
Thank
I want to
you.
thank you for coming to Simi Valley today. And I want to thank Waste Management for the tour. I've been on it once before, and it's always enjoyable. And I'm sorry, I just turned the card late. I left thinking we were talking at 11:30, and I just came in because the door wasn't locked, but I got mixed up. And I just wanted
You
to...
didn't get mixed up. I thought, instead of holding on to people until that time certain, that we'll stay until 11:30. If you want to come back,
Oh, thank you.
11:30
No,
we'll be
this
here.
is much better. And I just want to mention a couple of points, and then we'll give you a far more in-depth presentation when you're here the next time. I heard a comment on the tour about the county has 2 regional landfills. And I just want to be precise that, as this EIR went through to the final draft, it was a West County landfill, then it was a county landfill, and then the text was changed and it became a regional landfill. But the Tolan landfill that the county owns has a waste shed boundary. And the garbage at the Tolan landfill can't come from Simi or Thousand Oaks or Los Angeles. It comes from, Santa Paula and Fillmore, because the county is the operator and the owner. And the county was able to adopt a waste shed boundary, and that protects those residents of Fillmore and Santa Paula from just where that garbage is coming from. This landfill is one of the few landfills that doesn't have a waste shed boundary. And it is unfortunate that we didn't get to see the operations, because the alternative daily cover is, and we do believe, we have a court hearing. I filed the writ, which is part against the county. We have that hearing Monday, it's up in the air, of course. But the alternative daily cover is a major issue on why we think the EIR is deficient. And we will challenge the EIR upon its certification unless certain things are done between the city and Waste Management to mitigate some of these issues that are brought about by this deficiency of the EIR. The alternative daily cover, if we look at the auto shredder waste, which sounds pretty neat, and we were taking 30 or 40% of the state's auto shredder waste and bringing it to Simi Valley, although we didn't see an ounce of it, and there's 500 to 600 tons a day coming in. Wherever it is, it is. And there's a system they do. They clean it, they grind it, they try to put some cement on it, and then they try to to make it, change the pH on it. But the reality is that EPA is going through hearings, they have already, and they're going through findings now where the EPA thinks that they're going to go into the realm that auto shredder waste is a hazardous substance. And yet the Cal Recycle has continued, in spite of EPA's protests, to say, under pressure from the waste industry, that auto shredder waste is not a hazardous substance. Yet that constitutes 24 inches of daily cover, 2 feet. 2 feet of cover that goes into the garbage. But today we saw an interesting phenomenon. We saw 100% or close to it of water in the air, and we saw no wind. But when SEMA gets those 30, 40, 50, 60-mile-an-hour winds, and we're blowing auto shredder waste and other materials that EPA thinks are going to be classified or should be classified as hazardous waste. And also, when we're blowing VOCs that haven't been taken into consideration by the EIR, because the EIR is required to review both current operations, current known conditions, and potentially known future conditions. And the EIR has failed to address currently known future conditions with respect to VOCs. And we'll get into more of that at your next hearing. But if approved, what Waste Management has been lobbying the state agency, one of the state agencies that governs this landfill, if approved, which in all likelihood it is going to be approved according to the staff of that agency, that is going to raise the VOCs by a factor of 100. And yet the EIR has not addressed any of that. And these are carcinogens at low concentrations. So they're currently not classified, as you probably know, because I know you're experts in this more than I know. There's what's allowed to go into the landfill as non-hazardous. And there's what has to go into the other landfills that are hazardous. So you got a list of hazardous materials that can't go here, and you got an everything else that can go here. But in the middle, there's a big wide window of what can't go here, but isn't hazardous. And where do those things go? They go to primarily recycle plants. They go to plants where they're burned, they're made into asphalt batch plants, they're made into road-based materials, and all that material, or a major portion of that material, which comes from oil tank bottoms, which comes from oil sumps, contaminated soils, which comes from a multitude of contaminated materials with gasoline, diesel, oil, and so forth, jet fuels. That material is being reclassified and used as an alternative daily cover at concentrations 100 times higher what's currently approved. And that material is what's going to be blowing, and that material is going to be what's causing health effects that are totally unknown because there has been no health risk assessment, and the EIR has closed its mind to this. Why? How? We have no idea, but it is not mentioned in the EIR, and the paper trail to the government agencies as recently as yesterday shows Waste Management as the leading advocate for the state to change those regulations for their alternative daily cover. And yet the EIR is silent to it. And how you can approve an EIR that's silent to a known high-risk environmental issue is beyond my comprehension. And that's why we're urging you, under the current situation today, and hopefully in the next few weeks, Waste Management can come forward and change, and come to you with some supplemental, and change what they're asking for, and be more precise in what they're willing to do to address these high-risk issues that are of concern to the descent of the county. We would ask you, if that doesn't happen, to postpone this by taking one of the options, saying it's not needed now. It's only needed for LA garbage, because Buena Hills is closing. It's not needed for anything else. Ventura doesn't need it. Buena Hills is going to close, and by rail it's going to be $80 to $110 a ton. And here we're at 45, so we go to 55, 60, and negotiate a little less in the franchise agreements. They're competitive to LA garbage. They own the transfer station there in LA, and they'll ship it right here. And what do we gain? The county's going to gain $3.6 million into the general fund for this about 3,000 tons a day. And the residents here who are impacted by all the negative air quality issues are going to gain the Zippo, and they have no money to mitigate anything. So we'll see you more on the 24th, and thank you again for coming.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chairman, you used the term VOC, an acronym is the same as defined in our EIR, volatile organic compounds. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Are there any other speaker cards? Here, come on down. Thank you. Debbie Sandlin.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I want to thank Waste Management for the tour, but I think a big missing part was the trash part. I think, he showed us all the pretty things that are going to, without looking at the actual trash. I am a member of the school board here in Simi Valley, but I'm definitely not here in that capacity. I am here as an individual citizen that has been a resident of Simi Valley my whole life. My great-grandparents settled here in 1880. We're one of the Simi Valley pioneers. I've seen this valley grow. And I have several concerns regarding the expansion of the landfill. And as I said, there's a lot of people that can address the technicalities like Mr. Pandolfi did. I'm here on a very basic human level to look at the impact. First of all, we're going to have extra traffic, a lot of extra truck traffic coming to our community with adding pollution to our community. And then we're going to be taking in trash from other counties. I don't mind accommodating the county of Ventura, which you so nicely serve. You are Ventura County Commissioners. And this is the county that we need to be beholden to and take care of. I am opposed because someday this landfill will be filled up. Like it or not, it will be filled up. And then we, Ventura County residents, are going to be in the position of sending our trash, adding pollution to other people's communities, and traffic at who knows what extent. Where are we going to be sending that trash? Because it will fill up. And I was looking at the numbers, and I can tell you right now, being on the school board, I'm very cognizant of what's going on in the economy in Ventura and as well as California. There's no way we're going to be increasing by 30% in 2030. We are in declining enrollment in our district. People are leaving Ventura. And when I was just taking a few notes of what the limit of the trash is now, 9,250 tons a day, and they're taking in 2,500. So how in the world can they say we need to expand that landfill? If we do indeed need to expand that landfill, let's do it for the Ventura County residents, not for LA County residents. Let them worry about their own trash, because I can guarantee you we'll be worrying about where we're going to be putting our trash someday if we're taking in LA County trash. And I'm also concerned about the impact on the wildlife corridor. There's a lot of things that I took some quick notes about. But again, the tour, I really do appreciate the tour, but I hope people will keep in mind, because we're kind of emotional people. We see what we look like, and it was a very beautiful sight that we saw today. But the real trash is what we didn't see, and that's what we're going to be bringing in from LA County if we do allow this landfill expansion. So I really asking for the city of Simi Valley and the community, surrounding communities and the Ventura County community, please keep trash for Ventura County and Ventura County, and let LA County and other surrounding counties worry about their own trash. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other comment cards? Seeing none, thank you very much for coming up. Thank you, Waste Management, and thank you for the tour. We will adjourn. We will take a recess until 11:30 because our agenda said that public comments will occur at 11:30. So we need to stick to that. Otherwise, thank you very much for coming in. And we'll be in recess until 11:30.
Our comments will be considered as public comments as well.